What's up and welcome to Champions of Lore, a show about all the kick-ass stories behind some of Idle Champions' coolest campaigns and characters. Every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on twitch.tv/CNE Games or later on your favorite podcast service, B. Dave Walters and Erin M. Evans talk about all the Idle Champions lore that's fun to know about. If you're hearing us live in the chat, you can enjoy B. Dave's dancing right now, as well as leave a question that I, Treavor Bettis, will ask them later in the show. But until then, Erin, B. Dave, take it away.
Your dancing is just so magnificent.
It is.
This is a wonderful way to start this.
It's already been taken away.
I'm Erin M. Evans. I'm the author of the Brimstone Angels Saga, a 6-book series set in the Forgotten Realms, featuring two of your favorite tieflings from Idle Champions, Frida and Havilar. I also play Cecilia on Dungeon Scrawlers, Wednesdays at 6:30 on twitch.tv/Dungeon Scrawlers.
Hey, yeah, it's a shorter list this week. We got to come up with more stuff. Yeah. B. Dave Walters, I was the DM for all 6 episodes of Idle Champions Presents, but you can still catch via VOD and will return. I do a bunch of stuff all over the place, but the most important one is the Black Dice Society, Thursdays at 4 Pacific on D&D, YouTube, and Twitch.
Yeah. And you can listen to a podcast right now too.
And there's a podcast that maybe like a really cute boy put together for us. A guy named Treavor with an extra A in there somewhere. Maybe you can listen to that. Like whatever, it's cool.
Yeah, you know, if you got some time, that'd be cool. Just put work in.
like whatever. If you're into that,
if that's your thing, you can do that. I do want to point out that Garwar in the chat said Erin is laughing. That means the week has begun.
I'm glad I can do that for you guys.
It's true. It's like it is like, in the past, like having to sacrifice the goat to make the sunrise. I'm like Erin must laugh to hearken forth the week. Yeah.
Do I get like a stewed goat?
I mean,
No?
if that's the thing you're into, again, sure.
Yeah, we
arranged.
can make it happen.
Sometimes.
Chat, make it happen. Put a goat emoji. I don't know.
I'm gonna get like DoorDash goat curry. Where did this come from?
I've had goat a bunch of times, and it's weird because goats are too cute. That's the problem.
Very cute.
Yeah.
I got nothing against cows and chickens, but at least I can but goats, you're like little bro.
Oh, little bro with your weird square eyes.
Yeah. You didn't see this coming.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that got dark quickly, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah, they do have those weird square eyes. But also, y'all, Google goat eyes. Like a close
They're
up of a goat's
haunting.
eye.
They're haunting.
It's weird. Okay, sorry.
It always disturbs me in video games when in character creation they give you that option. I'm like, nah, get that out of here. But luckily, we're not here to talk about goats for an hour. We're here to talk about the new champion
That's
coming.
what you
Lauren's like, please, God, no. We're going to talk about the new champion coming to Idle Champions, which is Orkira, which is Lauren Urban's character, and she's
Orkira.
here, and I'm so happy, and I'm so excited. Yay! Which is awesome because it also gives us a chance to talk about Dragonborn, which we've slightly gotten into, but we're gonna get a little more deeper into it. But first, Orkira, you've played, Fridley's played with Orkira.
Oh, once or 40 times.
Once or 40 times, yeah. Here and there.
Yeah.
So what do you know about Orkira?
Orkira is a cleric of the Phoenix. She always tries to do the right thing. Her death ward has saved me numerous times. She is the last survivor of her village. She worships the Phoenix, which is nice. We met the Phoenix. The Phoenix was nice. I mean, it was nice, although it has destroyed whole planets. But I mean, maybe they kind of had it coming, sort of, I think. Yeah. And she is the best friend that any halfling could ever have. Just like her in her human form, Lauren Urban is always in chat, always supporting people. I'm not sure how she does it. I think she's got 4 or 5 different scrying stones open all at once. I don't know how she does that. I do a lot
theory.
of because I'm a lot of places, but I'm a lot of places 1 at a time. She's a lot of places 5 at a time. I don't understand how that is. But yeah, definitely have Orkira in your formation as soon as she goes live, which I think is soon. Yeah,
Is it Wednesday?
that's it.
I think it's Wednesday. They'll
We don't
correct
have
me if I'm
Wednesdays.
wrong.
We don't have Wednesdays where I come from, but yeah, there.
Slight sidebar: the lack of names of the days of the week in Forgotten Realms has plagued me forever.
Oh, they're really. I just assumed that there were, and I didn't know them.
My understanding from Ed was that they're you could say first day, second day, but mostly people just refer to the date.
Yeah,
and it's such a thing in your head, right? Like a Wednesday is a concept.
Yeah.
It's very it's kind of like when you write fantasy and you realize there's no light switches and you're like, what?
Michael Crichton went through a whole thing about there being no chimneys in Timeline when they went back to the houses and the houses had no chimneys. Yeah.
This is awful.
Although, but I mean, if you think about it, though, the 7-day week is a construct that's a byproduct of the 28-day lunar month for us, even though we then went to 30-day months, is why it doesn't line up quite right. So even though Forgotten Realms has months, if they have a differently lengthed lunar month or solar year, they would have a different length of the days of the week. That's why.
Yeah. See, that's the look I had on my face.
If I had known this was going to come up, I would have checked some of my thoughts, but I believe it is similar to the Aztec calendar where like the days all have their name.
Mm-hmm.
And so you refer to the number of the day of the month, but it's not broken into subsets like that.
That's my understanding as well. The month, it's the month that has a name, and it's the first of that, the second of that.
And so, yeah, it's similar, but then you really want to, it's kind of like, there's no week, there's a 10-day, but yeah, that it's one of those things that you just don't question that it's always there. Of course, there's such a thing as Wednesday. And it's like, actually, have you ever considered not being Wednesday? And you're like,
that's what happens when you don't laugh. You get not Wednesday. That's why those poor people in the realms are anguishing. So, yeah.
So I tear a portal and I'll just laugh into it.
See, now I'm sad though because my group recently ended up turning luckily it's a Tuesday into a catchphrase, and I was gonna try to equate that to an actual D&D day of the week, and now I'm sad. Anywho,
you know what? It can be that way at your table. You're allowed to say, you know what? My version of the realms, there is such a thing as Tuesday.
It's true, but it's
none of the other days.
But only that, just a Tuesday. It's only a Tuesday. The irony though is that was said on the first session where we officially changed our day to playing on Wednesdays instead of Tuesdays. I don't want to take a look real quick at some of the items that Orkira is going to be getting, and possibly my favorite one is Pantaloons of the Dragonborn, which is just
are they purple?
They are.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. I know my homie.
Again,
the story of the Pantaloons.
It's
aside from the fact they look fantastic.
It's I don't know how it's going to calibrate to Idle Champions, but it's because of her wings and her tail and just size. It's just hard for her to get clothes. And for a while, her only pair of clothes that fit were her purple pants. So
yeah. I like the flavor text for this. Yeah, I'm used to being weird everywhere. Then there's so let's see. Yeah, we got homemade treats. And then resurrection components. Am I sensing that Orkira's had to use those a few times?
I actually have had to help resurrect Orkira more times than she's had to resurrect me.
Oh,
like the record to show that.
Important notation.
Yeah. Orkira, the character was from, and please do correct me if I'm wrong, Lauren, because you're infinite and eternal. Started in Heroes of the Veil, went to Beyond Heroes. Went to what's it? Stone and no, we were on Silver and Steel, but then Orkira was on the Fire and Forge. Orkira's currently on both D4 and Heroes of the Plains. Because I don't think her D4 narrative is wrapped yet. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. So she's been a busy Dragonborn. What's wild is every time we did those shows and rebooted and switched over and stuff, we'd level back down. Yeah. So Freely has gone up and down 4 times. So Orkira's maybe 5 or 6 times. I don't know. But yeah, that's and when we were in Wildmount to support the release of the Wildmount source book, our Orkira got killed and replaced with a simulacrum.
Oh no.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Oh,
that was a whole thing, kids. That was a whole thing. Yeah. We got her back though. She got better.
So Lord says, yep, Silver and Steel, and then yep. And then but she also adds freely gets all the death wards.
Well, yeah, it's a very proactive resurrection. Just don't let me get killed in the first place. It's highly effective. Highly effective.
And then one of the other items that Orkira gets is the Phoenix feather. And okay, I did want to talk mostly about Dragonborn. What is the Phoenix? I'm not familiar with this.
So again, resident expert in the chat, I believe the Phoenix was her homebrew deity, but it is a big old Phoenix.
Okay.
That lives on the plane of fire.
That's hot.
And yeah,
That's
literally.
where a Phoenix should live.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
I think that's
Again,
awesome.
no. You know, I know it was very nice when we met it, but it's like less nice when she calls it and asks for help, because it's like I could like just destroy everything and your problem will be solved. And she's like, no, please don't destroy everything. And the Phoenix is like, oh, but what if I did? And then so we don't
see. Now we need Freely to recap the entirety of a campaign. By the way,
Freely does Orkira. It's like she's here. It's wild.
By the way, thank you, Garwart, for clipping out last week's amazing moment.
Oh, thank you, Garwar, the hero we need.
And Lawrence says Phoenix is a homebrew deity that was created by Todd and I. So, okay, cool. Cool. And morphed into a storyline. I like that.
Mm-hmm. And a weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah.
Which, of course, Freely knowing that the Phoenix destroys whole planets, repeatedly has asked Orkira to call it and only destroy like part of a planet, and has no concept of why that's not. I'm like, why can't it just destroy this little bit right here? Just like destroy this chunk of it.
It's targeted destruction.
That's all. It's not. Yeah, I'll help. I'm like, no, Phoenix, right here. Yeah.
Draw a circle around it.
But yes, Orkira is a refugee from a calamity that befell her village, but her family are descended from the Dragonborn on a beer. So it is the whole unbroken line of remembering the old country, the very old country, before having come here, which I know Erin is our resident expert on.
I'm prepared to drop some lore bombs.
I'm ready because
as is the Phoenix. That's
What is the radius of destruction for a lore bomb dropped by a Phoenix?
Apparently global.
Chat, get on it.
I'm like, apparently global. Actually,
it's like you can have small planet, medium planet, large planet, but it doesn't get any smaller.
You're gonna end up with no planet.
When you order a small drink and they're like, it's 22 ounces, and you're like, but I want less than that. Like, no.
That is not a feeling I felt ever. So,
there are some things I don't want that much of. There are other things I want more of.
Right.
Okay, so one thing I find really cool about Orkira is that she has two sort of lore traditions blended together in one. And I know Lauren has talked a lot about taking parts of the Forgotten Realms and adapting them for her home game, which once again, that is a wonderful thing about lore. You can use it to inspire you. You can use pieces of it. You can say, I don't like that part, and chop it out because it's your game. You can do what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So there are two big variations of Dragonborn. There are the Dragonborn from this lovely 4th edition book. The Dragonborn that are from Nentir Vale or Points of Light Setting or Narath. Those are all kind of referring to the same thing. And there are the Dragonborn from Forgotten Realms. And there is one really big difference between the two, and that is basically, do you like dragons, yes or no? In Nentir Vale setting, the Dragonborn are sort of the remnants of these powerful empires. And this is where that story about Io being divided into Bahamut and Tiamat comes from. This is one of their sort of creation myths.
Okay.
So they are the blood that was spilled when Io was divided.
That's dumb.
Just quick footnote.
Shout out to my five-headed
that
homie.
way.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
She's still over here. Way. And I may or may not have pre-ordered that mini. Anywho.
Other stories where Io created the Dragonborn, and then the Dragonborn were sort of the dragon, and the humans were created from the Dragonborn, and different things like this. But the idea is very much that the Dragonborn are tightly connected to the creation of dragons, and the structures of their empires, like dragons, are held in high regard. And so in the Points of Light setting, the last Dragonborn empire is called Arcosia. Arcosia collapsed in war with the Tiefling Empire, Baal Tarath. So the Dragonborn are a little bit scattered. It's a little, post-Empire collapse. You've got mercenaries, you've got smaller communities, but they are very tied to they're very tied to honor, and battle and noble things like that, and the memory of this empire, and searching for the leader, the Golden Dragon, I believe it's called, who can reunite their empire. The flip side, in Forgotten Realms, the Dragonborn are created in a beer, and like we said before, you have the Titans and the gods war. They both finally say, "Fine, I get this. There's a line down the middle, and you can't cross it." So the Titans get a beer, the gods get Toril. Everybody kind of forgets that this happened, which is why for a long time Toril is called a beer Toril, because once they were one thing. This is obviously like, later edition retconning, but we're gonna just take it as truth. So in a beer, the Titans rule everything. They create they have dragons, steeds. The dragons say this is enough and overthrow the Titans. The Titans are now all dead, or as dead as a Titan gets. The Dragonborn enslave the sentient races, not the Dragonborn, the dragons enslave the sentient races. They create the Dragonborn to be sort of perfect slaves. And then down the line, the Dragonborn go, no, and start overthrowing the dragon tyrants and establish their own kingdom of Tumanchabar. The Sundering happens. We smash. You get a beer in my Toril, I get Toril in your beer, and parts come crossing over. So you have the island of Laricon, which is returned to beer, and then you specifically have Timanther dropped in the middle of the map. So these Dragonborn hate dragons because those were the tyrants that enslaved them and tortured them. They're not keen on gods because they do not understand this concept. And so a lot of these aspects persist down through their culture. Now, you still have people who don't live in Timanther, who have gone abroad, who have discovered new things. So you can absolutely have a Dragonborn that does not feel the way that the Dragonborn of Timanther do, but this was sort of the core component, that the Dragonborn of Forgotten Realms are as atheistic as you can be in a world where gods pop down and say, hey, you want to worship me? And they don't like dragons. And this is very different from the Dragonborn of Nentir Vale, who are like, Bahamut is cool. We pick a side in this god war. We love dragons. They're like either our progenitors or our close kin, and we think they're fantastic. So these are sort of two big flavors that you can have that come kind of from a different story of this. And there are places where the 5th edition lore is kind of pulled or borrowed from each of them. And again, I think that century-long gap from Timanther landing in the middle of the map gives you lots of room for people to kind of go out and become their own thing, right? And then this crossover that Orkira has, where Dragonborn from Abir escaped to Nentir Vale, and then now she gets to go anywhere, is another way you can kind of braid these together. So you can have this history in Abir that implies one set of things, and then you can also have the points of light setting, the Dragonborn Empire, the different origin stories layered in, and do it all if you feel like it.
Wibbly wobbly timey wimey.
the entire third season of the entire second season of A Darkened Wish heavily relied on a beer storyline that we did there. They were back and forth. The wildest thing to me about Dragonborn lore isn't about Dragonborn lore at all. It is that half dragons are a different thing than Dragonborn.
Yeah.
Dragons, Saurials, Dragonborn of Bahamut are a different thing. This blusters people sometimes, but they're different.
Yep. A half dragon is like straight up Zeus mode. A polymorphed dragon gets it on with a different kind of creature, and then it's almost more like a xenomorph. It's kind of like the DNA just imprints on something else. Yeah, so you can kind of have a half dragon anything, honestly. But yeah, they're not Dragonborn.
That messed me up when you said that thing with the xenomorph.
Yeah, no. When
I opened up Tyranny of Dragons the first time, back in the day, I saw a half dragon. I'm like, isn't that just a wait? But what is it? What? And I was very, very, very confused. And now I'm disturbed.
It's like a Cambion versus a Tiefling.
Okay.
In a knife fight.
Yeah. Knife fight. So, here's one question I have. So I started in 4th edition, and I know how those Dragonborns go. And I know that one of the Paragon paths of a Dragonborn was you get wings, and Orkira has wings. Is that a thing in Forgotten Realms? Do Dragonborn still get wings?
Not really. I mean, I think one thing to consider is like the Paragon path, like the idea is if you are a hero, you are already extraordinary.
Yeah.
If you are a player character, you are an extraordinary individual. And so then once you get into the Paragon path, which for people who didn't play 4th edition is sort of like middle tier, I think that's like 6 to 10 or 6 to 12.
Paragon path was 11 to 20. Yeah.
So this is where you get to be even more special, even more extraordinary. So your average Dragonborn doesn't have wings, but certainly you could. Mm-hmm. So I wrote a lot about the Dragonborn of Timanther.
Yeah.
And so I know a lot about that, which isn't. This is sort of like that's not what this is though. Like I'd be like,
it is, but it is.
Yeah.
Yes. Now is the time for your Dragonborn lore. You've been so patient. Yeah. There's more lore than you could fit in an hour though.
That is true. that is true.
Yeah.
So I never put any in with wings, because it is that I would want to dig into like how does this happen and why does this happen, and which if it's your character you can do, or you can say no, it happened because it's cool.
Yeah.
But if you're writing a novel, you have to make people believe in the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, because reasons is still, but a wizard did it. It's still viable.
Oh, but you got to be careful with that because people will get mad at you if you don't like hit it just right. Plus, in Timanther, and Jared Thymar in particular, their sort of elite cavalry flies giant bats. So maybe they just haven't needed wings.
True.
I like the bats because they're absolutely bonkers.
Also,
like it's a cool visual, but like that thing lands. Okay, now you have a problem.
I mean, shout out to Lauren that her second character when we did Silver and Steel, Callie had a giant bat. So it was there was the layers
connections.
What do these giant lizard people need? Giant bats.
That's not where I would have gone. It's not where I would have gone.
I had a Twitter thread that was a little bonkers around Ashes of the Tyrants, which was basically so they have these giant bats that their cavalry fly, and the giant bats are established to roost in the top of their pyramid city. So Jared Thymar is a gigantic hollow pyramid, and at the top is the sort of location of the Lance Defenders, which is basically the army, and where the giant bat roost is. Bats make a lot of poop.
That's a lot of guano. No,
that's a lot of guano.
My head went. That's a lot of guano.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, what do you do with that guano? Well, they have lots of agriculture, right? They grow things. They're very into like herbology and growing plants, which makes sense. If you don't have a strong cleric tradition, you're going to be good at medicine in other ways. But also you use guano for fireballs.
Yeah.
So I gave them an entire cohort of wizards in their army that specialize in fireball, and I posit that the Timantheran guano has disrupted the magical components market because they have so much of it. It's probably very easy and cheap now to get artisanal guano.
I still
fine artisanal guano.
I still remember the first time it was ever pointed out to me that was a component of Fireball. Like we were all around the table getting ready for a game. Someone goes, "Has anyone taking a look at the components for Fireball?" I'm like, "Why?" They're like, "Come here," and I walk around the table and they point at it. And I just go, "Really?"
I mean, think about also when we always just sort of hand wave a component pouch, but when you look at some of the stuff these like weird people really have on their person all the time, you're like, really? Like, where are you keeping that? Yeah.
Like I'm half
like a little bit of cobweb. Like, how do you not lose it in
right?
There? How does that not just crush? Like, is there some little special box that the cobwebs go in? Is that like you get those spice containers for traditional Indian food that have the little sub containers? Are there little sub containers for particularly common components that are also very delicate? That's the cobweb box that comes with this one.
But see, if I knew they had that, I'm aiming at that every time. Like
that's why I make a lot of them.
Yeah, like round 1, minute 1, magic missile that dude's component box.
I'm actually kind of half
Yeah.
surprised Keith Amon hasn't said in like monsters know what they're doing. It's like, oh, if there's a wizard, they'll smell you coming.
I'll message him after this about that.
I love that.
That he's all like, I smell guano, cobwebs, and your father's disappointment. That's a wizard. That's what that is. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And your father's disappointment.
Yeah. Eat him first. Yeah. Mhm. Again, that's one of those things that you can only dig so deeply before it quits making sense.
That's the trick, is to dig just a little so
Yeah.
that people go like, oh yeah, this is a fully realized world, and you're like, no lower, because then you hit the structure.
Yeah.
Then
Right.
you hit the plumbing.
Yeah. You go full Truman Show. You're like, there's there's a wall over there. Stop walking. Great.
Meanwhile,
Great.
your players
Came
are
back.
like, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Mhm.
So, okay, so I am curious because I don't know if we will get another chance to do it, but what is some of the Dragonborn lore from Timanther? Because I don't know if we're gonna get this chance. I want to do it now. We got time.
No, this is it.
Okay. So the Dragonborn Timanther are very clan focused. So the name structure, you have your clan name first. Frieda's father, Frieda and Havilar's father, is actually Dragonborn. So they're adopted. They have grown up culturally Dragonborn. Frieda and Havilar, you will notice in the player's handbook, are actually Dragonborn names. And Mehen is their father. So growing up, he grew up in the clan Verthissa Thurgiesh. So his name would be Verthissa Thurgiesh Mehen. The full formal name, you would say your clan name, your given name. Then you would give, let me see, how does it go? I think you have which of your parents is the one in that clan that you connect to. So he'd be son of Panjid. And then you have of the line of, because a clan is not just people who are related, it's different families that have united. So you have different lines within the clan. So he's of the line of Corsaya. So your clan is real important. They basically, the patriarch or matriarch of the clan, the elders of the clan, kind of get to decide what's going on, like what happens. And they sort of, there's a little bit of like the clans police their own. However, that's a terrible system. So you also have a ruler, a sort of a benevolent tyrant. You have an elected ruler who is the boss of everybody, the Vanquisher. The Vanquisher gets elected once every 10 years by the heads of the clans. You put forth your candidate. You cannot vote for your candidate. You have to vote for someone else. And the Vanquisher is supposed to act outside of the clans. They have a sort of an extra class called the Adjudicators. You are an adjudicator. You are clanless, but in a sort of sanctioned way. Like it's almost like a bureaucratic class. Being kicked out of your clan, though, is a big deal. And so this is also what happens to Mehen. Mehen doesn't do the things his father wants him to do. He gets exiled. So a Dragonborn in Timanther signals their clan with piercings. So Verthissa Thurgiesh is 4 jade piercings in the jaw frill. The kids in my D&D game also play Dragonborn because they started out playing a kidified version of the Dragonborn dating game, which is the only adventure I've ever written. So the clan Ofinch Talagir wears jade rings in the neck right here. There's one called Kanjan Telekor. They have silver skewers. There's these distinctions, so you can look at someone and you know immediately what clan they belong to.
Oh, that's cool.
Similarly, if they've been kicked out, if they are what's called Thrikomanaki, I have no name, you can tell because they don't have any of their piercings in. Now, the farther away you get from the city, like if you live out in the boonies on a sheep farm, like they maybe don't bother, right? Because the only people you generally see are your family. And so your connection is already made by you're kind of doing this work together. So you may not have the piercings. If you go into the city, everybody's going to be like, what did he do? Because it's a big deal. And it's so for all of 4th edition, the Dragonborn of Timanther had no established religion. You had some little cults of Bahamut popping up. You had some Tiamat worshippers, which is largely like the clanless who were pissed at this system. And Tiamat's like, do you want power? I could get you power.
Mm-hmm.
But largely there's no established religion. One of the things that with 5th edition that I got asked to consider doing was giving them a god, because it is a little weird in a world where the gods are so motivated by worship, because that's how they get their power. That there's this entire nation of people who are just like, no, we don't get this. And nobody's trying to convert them except Bahamut, who's like really the worst guy for this job. It's like, hi, I know, I look like the people that subjugated you, and I'm really like very the sort of like good, lawful, like
real quick,
fancy schmancy.
Did the metallic dragons also take part in that? Oh wow!
Metallic dragons in Abir are still assholes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, it's that sort of thing. Like they're just like, well, obviously we're superior to all of you, particularly this little bunch that we made in our laboratories. So why would we care, right? They're not nice. It's not a great place. Okay. I'm sure that has lovely qualities, such as the remains of amazing titans and a steel sky. But
I would just like to clarify, when you said that Bahamut is the worst person for the job, I would like to amend that to just Bahamut is the worst.
Motion passed. So what's the bulk, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, so plug your ears if you're like, no, I want to read Brimstone Angels Saga years after the fact, fresh. Ashes of the Tyrant and Double You Know is the establishment of a god for the Dragonborn, because the Timanther lands on what was once Unther, which is kind of magical Mesopotamia. So we have this Untheric pantheon that is pulled from, Babylon and Sumeria and these things. And what we decided to do was that the original god at the top of that pantheon is Enlil. And Enlil, back in the history of the Forgotten Realms, left, just kind of went and joined with his higher self on another plane and said, Gilgeen, you're in charge now, which was a bad decision, because Gilgeen's also the worst.
The worst.
This is the same Gilgeen we talked about last week, who killed Tiamat and then was killed by Tiamat. But when he got killed, he didn't get come back. So Enlil, in the course of the Sundering, gods that were dead are coming back, and Enlil's consciousness kind of gets pulled in. He looks around, he goes, what the hell happened here? And he recognizes that the Dragonborn are absolutely out of luck when the Sundering comes if they don't get someone to help them. Mm-hmm. So he's trying very hard to find a chosen, to find some Dragonborn to listen to him so that he can imbue his power in that Dragonborn and anchor to the plane. Which is eventually what happens. But their concept of religion is very much like, I've signed a contract with you. I have hired you for this purpose. But a little bit of, I've adopted you into my clan. So they basically make these agreements like, okay, we are going to pledge to the Church of Enlil for 2 years. We don't do any rituals that involve singing or dancing. Well, the singing's okay, but not the dancing.
Also, we don't have coverage in Waterdeep, unfortunately. Yeah, we're still trying to work it in there.
Like, doesn't that make them all warlocks? Actually, like,
oh my God! Don't start my warlock rant. Don't start my warlock.
I'm familiar with a relationship with deities that sounds a lot like this. Yeah, it's like a mob deal.
Well, it's a little friendlier than that. Because it is that sort of like, we will give you the worship you need for the power you need, but we're not taking this on as this is not a yoke. We will not like subjugate ourselves into this sort of state of religion where we have to sort of, do these things. And so the Dragonborn, the Timanther name for Enlil is actually Uncle Lightning Bolt. But in Draconic, so that it is meant to be more like, it's like kind of like a familial relationship. But one thing I enjoy about that is that because it is like this idea that you're going to sign on with a god feels so off for the history that they have, the understanding that they have, that you're gonna say a thing.
I am. I'm just gonna say I'm very familiar with the Sumerian mythology of Enlil, and Enlil is the giant jerk. Mm-hmm. And the idea of him being called Uncle Lightning Bolt and having to know that's what they call him and how upset I know that would make him just fills my heart with joy.
This is like side like mini rant. This is one thing that drives me crazy is that Enlil in Forgotten Realms is not a giant jerk. He's like a really like.
So he's Inkai. Yeah. Okay. Right.
But then like Inanna in Forgotten Realms is evil and like she's right. She makes me so angry.
What?
And for some reason, Inanna is the wife of Enlil. I don't even get that. I don't even
Wait,
get
what?
that because that's her father in Sumerian mythology, right?
Yeah.
Right?
No.
Unacceptable.
It was like 80, it was 83 and nothing made sense. Okay.
Right.
All right. Fine.
So
I also
okay.
love that
anyway,
the three of us
maybe
just found out that we all love world religions all at the same time.
Hey.
This just like tiny tangent. My first Forgotten Realms fiction that was published is a short story in Realms of the Dead called The Resurrection Agent, which you wouldn't necessarily know it unless you were looking for it, but it was inspired by the descent of Inanna, and it makes me so happy. My geeky little heart so happy that they managed to do that. But the other thing is like that these gods are supposed to be like the actual gods, like the I forgot who did it. Somebody stole a bunch of Sumerians basically and brought them over and said, hey, cool, you work for us now. And the gods were like, where did our people go? So they sort of sent part of themselves through into Forgotten Realms to help them out. So maybe all the jerk parts of Enlil stayed back and all the nice parts got through the filter. I don't know. That part, that's where we've hit the plumbing.
Turn back. It's the holodeck. Everybody can't run in different directions. You got to stay together. Yep. All right.
But to veer slightly off the lore, I have in a D&D game I play that is like just a friendly game. I have a Dragonborn Cleric of Enlil who's like this teenager who in this nascent religion, they don't have things like liturgy, so she has to figure stuff out. But she did not take proficiency in religion because she didn't know about anybody else's gods and she doesn't really care.
Yeah.
And she does not, when people like ask her about Enlil, she's like, you can't have him. He's ours. You can come move to Timanther and you can join a clan and then he can be yours too. But you can't just take my god.
Yeah.
Like the idea of proselytization is sort of like, I don't know, why would you do that?
I will say reasons like that is one why during the playtest of 5th edition when they were messing with skills and they were thinking about going with lores instead of skills, where it's like you can have a lore of pretty much anything but it's specific to that, but if you can argue why that would give you your proficiency to the DM, it's chill. Because yeah, like I've totally had clerics where it's just like they only know about they don't know all about that stuff, and that's why I've refused rolls. But I wanted to call out real quick one of Lauren's comments in the chat when you were talking about like the dragons and the chromatic dragons and everything like that. Lauren said, this is one reason why Orkira don't care about what color the dragon is. They're all crap.
That is true. Consistently, she's been relatively anti-dragon. That is true. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Hen and Orkira would get along.
Also,
actually, maybe.
Also, that's one thing that's been really nice about doing this show is that, like, now that I'm reading the Brimstone Angels, I never have to question how something's pronounced. Erin's already said it on the show, and I know how to say
it. Though, follow-up question. I know you created a lot of lore for the Dragonborn. How much of the stuff that you just said did you create? Actually,
less than you would think. Some of it was when we first started. This was back when I was an editor, novels editor, and so we had like the description of the Dragonborn in the Forgotten Realms campaign setting, which was sort of this is where they came from and these are their beliefs and this is what they value. And then we were like, okay, they have a sort of central location. They're from Timanther. And so if they're from Timanther, like there's culture that goes with this. And if we're going to write novels that are set in Timanther, we need to figure out what that is. So Richard Lee Byers wrote the first series that went into Timanther. And so Susan J. Morris and I were the Forgotten Realms editors. So we talked to Richard and we came up with some sort of factors like, okay, they because of these elements of like family unity and honor and things, like they're going to have these clans. And so we'll put the clan name first to emphasize like this is your allegiance to a clan is the most important thing people need to know about you. We picked out and so that name structure was part of that. I did not make up the bats or the pyramid city or the lance defenders. Those were all established. Enlil was was in conversation with Matt Cernett, who was kind of in charge of Forgotten Realms lore going into 5th edition in a lot of ways. And I don't actually remember which of us suggested it. I know that some of my other early suggestions were the Red Knight would be good. You could argue Mystra, the goddess of magic, would be good because so much of what they have now is because of the spell plague, which is, you know, of the whole thing of the death of Mystra. But the kind of confluence of Unther and Time-Anther, and then in the Sundering, Unther comes back. And so with that, actually, because there's someone who is presenting himself as Gilgame Reborn, and whether that is Gilgame or some kind of demigod or some guy with a really good set of magic items is sort of up for discussion. But because that guy still stinks, now we have Untheran refugees who have joined with Time-Anther and established their own clan, which I think is fun. They get gold ear cuff things. Because they just don't have enough stuff to pierce.
Just somebody tell Tiamat that he's back and it'll all get sorted out.
Right? That's the real answer.
Yeah. She's like, rematch. Yeah, tiebreaker. We have a rubber match. We both got one W. Let's go.
Before we pass over to chat, see what they've been doing, any other things on Orkira or Dragonborn?
Orkira is the very best, and you absolutely should get her a part of your formation as soon as possible. She'll make everything better and probably keep a lot of people alive. Yeah.
Also, don't get me wrong. You can hear back on difficulty class for years. I love the art style of Idle Champions, but please go check out the artwork for Demiplane for Orkira because it's so freaking badass. Heroes of the Plains. What's the show called? I keep getting it mixed up in my head.
Heroes of the Plains.
Is Heroes of the Plains? Okay, yeah. The art, the Orkira artwork is just so freaking badass.
Honestly, we've done so many now. You could say literally any combination of words. It's probably one of the shows we've done. So yeah, that's true. Yeah. No, we do look like an 80s metal album cover, and it's really great. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
There's one other thing that I would mention as a fun thing to do if you are thinking about having a Dragonborn character and you want to borrow some of the Time-Anther stuff, is that you as a child Dragonborn, a dragon hatchling, whatever you call yourself, you will have been raised with ancestor stories, which is basically like what you come from, and they are largely very hardcore. There's a point in Brimstone Angels where Frida is telling one of these stories to this guy doll, and she's like, the story of Corsaia, the person that Mehen, so Corsaia, who would be Berthis of Thurgiesh, like the story, and this is not possible, I don't think, but that she basically like dripped enough of her blood into a bowl of wine or something, and fermented it with like some kind of sleeping potion, fed it to a dragon, and then killed him with a sword made of her father's thigh bone that she sharpened. Right. So like if you have a Dragonborn character, make up one of these like super metal ancestor stories. Dude. Right? Because like the idea is like you have these values, like in the case of Berthis of Thurgiesh prizes adaptability. So what do you got? Do it with that. If you have to, carve a sword out of your dead father's thigh bone to kill the dragon.
That's so freaking metal. I love it.
Speaking as a father, I blanket consent to my children to forge any manner of weapon out of my bones and corpse to get revenge once I'm dead. Yes, 100%. 100%.
So yeah. So Time-Anther very like they're very lawful in one sense. There are a lot of like sort of rules for behavior and things like that, but also deep down they are crazy.
I love it.
I read a thing yesterday that said Vikings would use animal bones in their forging of their weapons because they thought it would imbue the weapons with the spirit of the animal, but the carbon from the bones actually really did make the metal stronger, and it was like a primitive form of steel.
Nice.
And somebody wrote as a response, "Shut up, egghead, it's bone magic."
Nice.
Like, yeah,
shut up, egghead,
and the swords. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. All right,
More
let's see what Chad's doing. Dark Soul said, "Is their week a 10-day?" And yes, that is absolutely what it is. And then said, and then in response to like the names, so he's like, I mean, does Odin exist on Toril? Yeah, in my world, yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, no, he actually does. Yeah, no.
Those gods go back and forth.
It's like he's there.
Yeah.
But he doesn't get in a day. No,
Yeah.
I'm kidding. He can if you want.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it could be Woden's Day. Yeah, that's true. No, but he is there. They're almost all of them are there.
If it weren't for that, I couldn't have a cleric, Tempest cleric, who's literally from Ireland. Let's see. Babylon Ranger 2261 says, "Do they have enough gods to name each day of the month?"
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
You could probably name every day of the year after a different
Yeah.
god.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then let's see, who was it that I saw that one? Oh yeah, oh my god, how do you say your name? Siobhan Rickon says since our day of the week are based on deities, shouldn't Forgotten Realms have like Torm's Day, Mistress Day, Phoenix Day, and you could 100% do that in your game. Like that's I like that.
You know, now that we're talking about it, and we always try and figure out like how does this work in a world with like, you know, reasonable, rational people.
Yeah.
I could see that there was no consensus.
Yeah.
That you were like, this is Torm's Day, and people like, no, it's Mistress Day. And they were like, it's a 10-day. It's a 10-day. Whatever. Fine. Yeah.
I'm now picturing like this giant like audience like talking about like, okay, so we're all decided this is Torm's Day. They're like, this is my birthday and I hate Torm. They're like, God damn it. Okay, well, all right. What god do you like? It's your birthday. What do you like?
Yep. 100%. 100%.
Let's see. Oh, baby, Babylon Ranger says, Null sitting in the corner, forgotten, sighs.
That's true. Null is like, I've got every night. Those are my times.
Cassius335 says, I think I misheard. The Dragonborn were created in a beer? How much hops they got?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I worked at Wizards when I was not very important. I will say I was like an assistant editor, so I only kind of overheard these meetings. But that is not an uncommon confusion historically. It is ABEIR.
Planet. Former dual planet with Toril.
Yup.
Dual planet.
And it's still out there somewhere.
Oh god dang, and I just looked over. Vancouver by Night says hipster Dragonborn confirmed. Well played. Well played. Let's see. Alarix says, what about Draconians?
Those are from Dragonlance. They
Ah.
are also a different thing.
Yeah, I did see. I'm actually going to jump down here to Chark 515. It says, okay, back to dragons for a second. How does Dragonlance and Kryn, is it Kryn? Kryn fit in, or does it? And I don't think they do. Like, they don't have like Dragonborn or anything.
No, and it would. I guess you could say Dragonborn are a kind of draconian. But draconians, if I recall correctly, are created by Takesis out of other sentient races. They're a little more like, in Forgotten Realms, there is something called, there was previously, and I guess it's in there still, so it could still be there, the Dragonborn of Bahamut. And the Dragonborn of Bahamut are people who have been blessed by Bahamut and are reborn as sort of draconic people that look a lot like Dragonborn, but it'll be more like, here's a halfling Dragonborn, here's a dwarf Dragonborn, here's an elf Dragonborn. Whereas the Dragonborn, as a people, are all kind of standardized. Well, I mean, they're different heights and weights and things, but
the fact that you can have a dwarf Dragonborn is proof that they're an abomination and should be eradicated. Yep.
This is like a tiny thing that annoyed me enough to put in a novel, is that in actuality, with that backstory, the idea that the Dragonborn call themselves Dragonborn bugs the heck out of me.
Oh yeah,
when they're not born of dragons. Yeah.
Right. And so what I put in is that that's not what they call themselves. They call themselves the Viamniri, which is from one of those ancestor stories. It means the ash-marked ones. So they managed to create a volcanic explosion so intense it killed a red dragon tyrant. Probably it wasn't the lava. Probably it was the rocks, but still.
Right.
But the story is the lava. And then the ash comes down and everybody's at the battle is now the Viamniri. that they come here and everybody's like, hey, you're like those Dragonborn Bahamut. And they're like, the Draga what now? And they're just basically like, we don't call ourselves that. We just got tired trying to get you to stop. So we figured, whatever, that's what you say. Because it is a little weird to go with that backstory, but
yeah.
But I also like making nerdy language things happen, so it worked out for me.
Counting KU says Faerun Dragonborn only get wings if they drink Red Bull, and I appreciate you.
I love it.
I'm here for that one. Master Burglar.
Wait. Does that mean Orkira's had Red Bull this entire time and hasn't been sharing it with us? What the? That's like haste in a can.
Haste in a can. Oh, I love it. Master Burglar says that's why wizards are always a swipe left on dating apps. Can't wash out the smell.
It's true.
Oh dear.
They are kind of filthy if you think about it.
It's true.
Yeah, even with prestidigitation, no excuse. They're choosing to be decrepit.
See, yes. I feel like at least with druids, they've got enough pretty smelling stuff on them also to like cancel it out.
Like earthy. Yeah. They smell like mulch. Like it's still pleasant.
They smell like mulch.
Yeah.
Let's see. Spirit Claw _Prime says Erin is the A silent in Frida's name. I noticed that in the book, Havilar sometimes calls her, and I'm just gonna spell it Fari. How is that pronounced?
Fairy.
Fairy?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's Farida.
Farida.
Fairy.
Farida.
Slightly nasal A.
Appreciate that you can speak to that with some authority. So
yeah, you know.
I have fans who insist I say her name wrong because they always read it. Farida.
See, I saw that in the Discord and I was just like, what do I do? I'm not gonna say anything.
Yeah, you know that what you said
it's
again.
Mostly a joke.
Yeah, I figured. That's what I figured.
With the glowing exception of the GIF guy, him being like, I made GIF. I'm like, you should have spoken up 40 years ago. That ship has sailed. It's a GIF now. Yeah. Beyond that, yes, the creator has final say on how a thing is pronounced.
Yes. Let's see. Dark Zero, I don't know. This was relating to the making a weapon out of you. Dark Zero says, quote, I, B. Dave Walters, being of sound mind and body. You know, I would
like you have a substantial femur too, I would assume.
No, this would be a
it's a two-hander.
It'd be a pretty good short sword at least. Yeah, right. True. Yeah.
You're setting your daughters up for success. I think that's a good thing. You're a good parent.
I'm trying to. Don't get me wrong. I'd rather like win the fight that they got to get revenge on me for. But if I can't, that's plan B though. Yes. Honestly, I've said multiple times I have to be careful because my youngest is one step away from vigilante. Like she'll become Rorschach. She will. Like not even Batman, Rorschach. So
oh my god!
I need to live because she's
in school.
A bone sword, though.
She's in school. They lock the door. I'm not stuck in here with you. You're stuck in here.
You're stuck in here with me.
She starts throwing the dodgeballs at everyone.
And then. Plus a bone sword. Yeah. Plus bone sword. Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, it's so badass. Vancouver by night. How does one be figuratively from Ireland? Every PC that has ever used an Irish accent and is from the Forgotten Realms is figuratively from Ireland.
True. Whenever people give a hard time about accents, I'm always like, you know, your Irish accent isn't bad because there is no Ireland. That's just what people talk like where you're from. Have at it. Yeah.
That's a Hilfarian accent, actually.
Mm-hmm. Swaterhavian.
One night, I don't know what the hell's up with me. I was doing an Irish accent, and then I just somehow slipped straight into Jack Sparrow, and I'm like, I gotta stop doing an accent tonight. My brain's messed up.
You know what? Lean into it. Make it worse. Always worse. Make it worse.
In Dungeon Scrawlers, one of our characters has a complicated relationship with a Githyanki. I forget her title. She was a pirate captain, basically, and she wants him to fertilize her eggs. But when the DM does her, like 2/3 of the time, she has this sort of like almost Russian accent, and then it goes away, and it's like, well, guess what? Planar accents do. Mess with you.
Mm-hmm.
Lauren in the chat says, sorry, Freely, I got into the plane of ice cream and milkshakes.
He did. They went to the plane of ice cream and milkshakes without me. That's true. And I've never managed to get there. All true.
The last what I'm gonna say is actually from our awesome mod Jay. They say, now I have an excuse for when I mess up practicing my Russian accent for one character. I love it.
Yeah.
That's what Astros accents do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that is unfortunately all the time we have today for lore. Erin, B-Day, where can people find you and what awesome things are you working on?
You can find me on Twitter at Erin M. Evans. You can catch me on Dungeon Scrawlers, twitch.tv/Dungeon Scrawlers at 6:30 Pacific. This week we are continuing our explorations of Myth Draenor, and we accidentally let something out. So we're going to see what that's about.
Fun times.
That thing back, or so help me. Yeah. B. Dave Walters, I say words about things, too many things to say. I don't expect you to remember them all. So just follow me on the Tweetagrams and the Black Dice Society Thursday at 4 Pacific on D&D Twitch and YouTubeages. And episode 1 podcast is up today, currently on Spotify and going live everywhere else. Thanks, Yo. Is that not true?
I was gonna say also 0.5.
Hey, and 0.5 is up also. So you get the first 2 episodes. There you go. You can find out what's up with that weird dream everybody kept talking about. And that's we have the hunkiest podcast producer, Treavor, helping us out with those. So thank you very much.
Also be sure to check out the Patreon.
Hey.
So, yeah, you can find me on Difficulty Class every Friday with the awesome co-host, Ali Deichman. You can find me on Twitter at the Treavor. There's an A hiding in there. And also, soon you'll be able to find all 3 of us on writing about dragons and shit. And if you would like to have a question about writing books and stuff and theory and all that fun stuff, you send those into writing about dragons and shit at gmail.com. Probably soon. Those might be getting used soon. So, might want to do that. And let's see, is there anything else I can think of? Nope. Not on my end. Oh yeah, I was in a game last week, and you can watch that on Gar Wars YouTube channel. That was a lot of fun. Mars did an amazing game. Fistful of Death. I loved it. Seeing every time that we just blew up the bad guy, and his face was great. He didn't get to monologue. Spoilers. He didn't get to monologue. But yeah, thank you to Jay, as always, for moderating in the chat, and thank you to Codename Entertainment for giving us a chance to talk about some D&D. There's no rerun for Isle Champions Presents. Unfortunately, no Isle Champions Presents today. I'm so sad. What do I do with my Monday? Probably record podcast.
Fan fiction about the adventures of Treavor the parrot.
I might do that.
That's your new assignment.
Let's see. I actually do have the schedule here for what's going on. So yeah, we got Bardic Inspiration tomorrow. No Champions of Psychology tomorrow, but it will be coming back the week after. Then Mars' Guiding Hand on Wednesday. Idle Insight. So yeah, pretty much everything post Tuesday is on track and the same. So catch your favorite streams and whatnot. Come hang out, and it's awesome. Also, thank you to everybody that I saw in my personal Twitch chat on Friday who came and hang out. Thank you. You're all awesome. But yeah, so that is going to do it for this week's episode. We hope to see you next week. But until then, Champions out.